The mood has been nothing short of celebratory among some Democrats and some in the left-leaning media following the guilty verdict against former President Donald Trump.
Thank God for the state of New York, Donald Trump's home state. The system actually worked.
Miracle is too strong a word, but a day for celebration.
I felt like New York won. I felt like the Manhattan DA's office won. I felt like I won.
Among many on the left, the sentiment is clear. They want Donald Trump to serve time. A post-verdict poll from CBS News found 75% of Democrats want Trump behind bars, compared to just 7% who say they don't. But amid all of this, one congressional Democrat is sounding a very different note and actually calling on New York Governor Kathy Hochul to pardon the former president. Over the weekend, Democratic Congressman Dean Phillips said, quote, Donald Trump is a serial liar, cheater, and philanderer, a six-time declarer of corporate bankruptcy, and an instigator of insurrection, and a convicted felon who thrives on portraying himself as a victim. Governor Kathy Hochul should pardon him for the good of the country. Of course, Congressman Phillips has grown accustomed to serving as a sort of lone voice in the Democratic wilderness. He was widely criticized among elected officials on the left for challenging President Biden in the 2024 Democratic primary. The congressman ultimately suspended his bid following a Super Tuesday wipeout, though he frequently warned throughout the campaign that President Biden could and likely would lose the election to former President Trump. And in that same spirit, he believes a Trump pardon would be politically savvy, writing, quote, making him a martyr over a payment to a porn star is stupid. Election charges are entirely different. It's energizing his base, generating record sums of campaign cash, and will likely result in an electoral boost. Joining us now is Congressman Dean Phillips, Democrat from Minnesota. Congressman, thanks so much for coming back on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so it sounds like you're talking about two separate issues here. One is for the good of the country, and one is the politics of it. Let's start on the good of the country issue. You know that many on the left are going after you already for even suggesting this. What is your explanation, defense to them about why, even from the Democratic perspective, this should be seen as good for the country?
Well, Dan, anybody who's gloating or celebrating this, you've already lost, and that's what this is all about. I'm deeply concerned about the country. He is vulgar, he is a liar, he's a cheater, he's now a felon. We know what kind of character the man has, but half of this country wants to see him as our next president, and I don't think that those on my side of the aisle recognize the consequences and implications of this case. Like you, I don't think it should have been brought. Is he guilty? Yes, he is. Is this the kind of case that a former president, current candidate for president of the United States of America, should have been charged with? I don't think so. The election charges, trying to overturn the 2020 election, now that's different. And I think that's where the focus should have been. That's the kind of case where Americans absolutely understood it. The fact that you and Megyn Kelly had the debate about wasn't he guilty, is that the law, isn't it the law? That's the problem right there, Dan. Most Americans only see it as a payment to a porn star. It has activated and energized Donald Trump's base. It is bringing Republicans back into the fold, including never-Trumpers. It is awakening millions of voters who did not even plan on voting, because anyone who feels slighted by the government at any point in their lives can affiliate now with Donald Trump. He's raising huge sums of money. And I'm afraid, back to the politics, that once again, this is a massive misstep to celebrate this by Democrats. I think Joe Biden could be the big man by encouraging Governor Hochul to either pardon or commute his sentence. If he is subject to house arrest or, prison, whatever it might be, a commutation of that sentence, I think would demonstrate that President Biden is the big guy and President Trump kind of the pathetic little guy. And I think that's a big deal right now for Americans to see that if Biden stands any chance.
Very quickly, so you think that this case on the whole is going to end up helping Donald Trump politically, correct?
I do. I think so far it's been a $200 million gift. And mark my words, first of all, the polls have barely shifted, maybe a point or two. I mean, that's consequential, of course, but here's my case. I think this is going to activate millions of Americans who are not voters typically. The same thing that Donald Trump did in 2016, I think we're going to see that again. And yes, I think there are political ramifications that Democrats simply are not recognizing.
I agree with you on that.
Now.
I think that this case helps Donald Trump politically in the end. Congressman Dean Phillips, thank you very much for coming on the program. Good to see you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.